So in today's video, I'm joined by a pretty special guest, Judy. Thanks for doing this with me, Greg.
You bet. It's an honor.
So I'm gonna run through a few questions I got here for you.
Okay.
Just the first one is, could you give me kind of your backstory in agriculture?
Yeah, so I was born and raised on a farm. I was born in northern Minnesota on a dairy farm, and my parents moved to Missouri in 1965. We've been here ever since, and I've always had a love for being on the land, being around animals, and um, we tried everything conventional. I like starting out, what all the professionals told us to do, and we bought the land, or the bank did, and we bought the tractors and the mowers and the rakes and the balers and the big cattle. You got to get a big calf.
Yeah.
And so we went that route. And after about a year or two, it's like, I love being outside. I love being on an animal. There was zero money. Matter of fact, I was losing money every year. And I'm like, I had a job in town, but it was taking all my town job money to, you might say, trying to make this hobby thing work. I wanted it to be more than a hobby because I wanted to be doing it full time. And I couldn't see any way I was ever going to get to quit my farm job. Fast forward to 1999, 98, somewhere in there, I read an article that said your sole purpose in life should not be to own the land, but to control it. And it got me thinking about leasing. Okay, that's what that article was about. And so leasing land. And we got our first lease in 1999, and it just kind of took off from there. Here's the deal about leasing land. When you can preserve your equity and build up a nest egg to buy livestock, buy the livestock and own them, and let those livestock start producing more calves or more lambs or whatever. And when you can lease land for a whole lot cheaper than you can buy land today. Land prices have just skyrocketed. So it's an unfair advantage. You're using other people's land, but you're paying them for it. It's a rent. And it allowed us to grow our numbers. And, today we went from just what we had the Judy farm to, I think altogether we have 22 farms now. So, it's been good.
Yeah, cool. That kind of ties into the next question a little bit. Why did you choose the South Pole breed specifically to go with?
Yeah, so the South Pole cattle breed is a four-way cross. It's specially bred and designed to perform on grass. Teddy Gentry from Alabama, he's the one that developed the breed with his own money. It's a four-way cross. It's Hereford, Centerpole, Red Angus, and Barzona. Yep. And they do real well just on solely grass. You don't need to feed them any grain. Pretty good mamas. They milk decent. They're pretty low maintenance. We built a herd of them to where our cows are around 900 to 1,000 pounds. We feel like for our farm here in central Missouri, that is the sweet spot. If they get over 1,000 pounds, it seems like in the wintertime, they don't do as well. There's a bigger body there to support on grass, and so it's profit per acre, not profit per calf, and that's what we're focused on. Being able to run, more animals on the same amount of acreage.
Cool. So, what would be your advice to a young person, maybe kind of starting out in the grazing world?
Yeah. So there's several different avenues I would take with that. One is get some experience. Basically doing what you've done, Alex. You weren't around livestock a lot. I think you mess with chickens and such, but you hadn't run beef animals or in large scale. And but you came here. You gave up a year of your life to learn from somebody that's doing it, kind of what you think the same way that you want to do it. So go find a mentor and see if you can get an internship with them, or if you can't, and they're close to you, maybe offer just to go work for free, just to get that experience. I think that's a big one is, getting experience first, and then once you have experience, if you can go out and work for somebody, maybe get a job as a farm manager or even just a full-time employee, maybe do that for a year or two before you jump in and start using your money. But save your money, save all the money you can save, And then when you get ready, buy good adapted stock. There's a lot, when I say adapted, grass genetic. There's a lot of stock out there that are too big, and they're real good. They do real good in feedlots, and if you feed them a lot of grain. But we found there's no money in that. I mean, there's no money in feeding a ruminant grain when they can eat grass. Mm-hmm. So we have an unfair advantage with beef cattle. They can eat grass and put weight on and give you a baby calf on grass. You don't have to be pumping them full of corn. Yep. They do it with sunlight. The sunlight grows the grass. They rip it off with their tongue, and they divert it into a beautiful protein, and they're raising a baby at the same time. So that's and then I would get a lease. If you go out on your own, don't go out and spend, let's just say you save up enough money, you put a down payment on a farm. No, don't do that. Buy the livestock. The livestock are your workers. Those are the ones that are going to help you make that payment. And later on, maybe you can buy your own farm. We are now. We're buying land. Some of our farm leases that the owners have died. And we've got a chance to buy some of those now. And so position yourself to where you've got a bunch of workers for you. And those workers have 4 legs. An
appreciating asset, not an asset like land, which isn't really going to be cash flowing you.
It's going to be taking cash out of your pocket every month to make a payment, or the bank's going to take it back from you. And so, I'm not saying land's a bad investment, but not at the very start. Mm-hmm. Not when you can lease it.
So on the other end, what kind of advice would you give to someone middle-aged or older, possibly looking to get into rotational grazing?
Yeah, well, now that they're middle-aged and they're older, they've probably got a nest egg. They've saved some money, and I get a lot of emails from folks that are in that position. And in fact, before you came down that night, I had 2 of them. And they're both were asking, they want to have a phone conversation with me, and a phone consult, they call it. And, just because you have a chunk of money doesn't mean you're going to be successful. A lot of people have done real well as maybe a car dealership. Maybe they owned a car dealership, or they're a good salesman, or they did good in business, whatever it was. Maybe banking, they were a good marketer, whatever. And they think they're going to be successful at being a good rancher or grazer. It doesn't work that way. You've got to get some experience. And there's a lot of, first of all, there's a lot of good information on the internet. YouTube, I would recommend finding somebody. Make sure before you start following somebody on YouTube that they're actually doing it and they're not making their living from YouTube. Okay? So I'm serious.
Like your channel, you're out there every day doing it.
Yeah, we do. I put out 5 videos a week, but YouTube is not my livelihood. It's to teach other people. I get a lot of people, well, why don't you get a better camera? Why don't you edit? Why don't you put music on your videos? I'm like, they say, well, why don't you have a microphone on here? We don't like the background noise. And I'm like, no, I've never edited a video ever, and I'm not going to start now. I don't have time for that. But I think it's more important for a middle-aged person to get some experience. They've got the money. Don't blow it all. Don't blow it all. Especially, there's an old saying in ranching, the best way to make a small fortune in ranching is to start with a large fortune. You can lose it. And I know people I've consulted with, they've called me in and it's too late. I couldn't save them. And they had a lot of money. Okay? So I would say if you're middle-aged and you start small. Maybe buy 4 or 5 cows or a half a dozen sheep or a dozen sheep and learn with those animals how to graze, how to move them, how to detect a sick animal, how to keep them healthy, maybe where are you going to market them at? Work on your marketing, and then you can start ramping up your production. But don't jump in and buy 100 head. That would be my suggestion.
Sounds like good advice. Do you see agriculture as a whole or in general headed down a regenerative path?
Well, I'll tell you this, there's a lot more people interested in it now than 20 years ago. Because when Jan and I started this thing, we've been in it since before it was called Regenerative Ag. They came up with that slogan about, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, but we were laughed at because we were all grass. Oh, you can't do it all grass. They got to have some grain. You got to have grain to make them taste good, and get them to marble. And you do that old grass thing, and that's never going to work, and you'll be out of business in 5 years. And yeah, we bucked the system, and you've got to be comfortable not going with the flow, because the flow is conventional. They want you back in that flow. So when you buck the system and start paddling up the river the other direction, they're going to try and get you to come back. Mm-hmm. So you got to have a pretty hard exterior to you to put all that aside and know that what you're doing is right and keep doing that. Yeah. So I think regenerative ag is definitely growing.
The way I see it, it's kind of more of a return to what traditional agriculture, what people have been doing for thousands of years.
Yes.
Living on the land,
absolutely,
moving their animals.
Yes. Well, think about all the inputs. The chemical fertilizers, all this equipment, and all this stuff that they tell you got to buy to keep an animal alive, and these great big cows, and the packers want them bigger, and you got to get them big. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I want to make a living. The packers don't care if you make a living. They don't. And I was told by a guy, big producer, and he markets a lot of cows. Oh, Greg, you got to get these cows the size of an elephant. That's what the packers want. They want them the size of an elephant. And I'm like, well, who's going to make the money on that little deal? It's not going to be the farmers, because the bigger you get your animals, they're higher maintenance. It takes more to keep them alive. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't make any sense. But anyway.
Yeah, so I'm going to wrap up with my last question. Just kind of what keeps you moving forward every day?
What keeps me moving forward every day?
Mm-hmm.
Just to see things progress. Bringing in young people and seeing them learn along the way, and hopefully in their journeys when they leave here, they'll be successful. We've got an ex-intern now. Him and his wife live just 14 miles from us, Tammy and Cole. They're doing well. And we've got others around. That's kind of rewarding, and that's why we're building on our internship program here. We're actually adding more housing where we can take on more interns, because, Jan and I, we started this thing a long time ago. We didn't have any children. And so, really to leave a legacy, we've got to have young people around us. That's one of our legacies, is to try and maybe plant some seeds out there. You're a seed. We don't know where you're going to go, where you're going to end up, but maybe your life will touch other people as well. And to me, that's, you can't put a dollar sign on everything. The other thing I enjoy seeing is our cow herd getting even better by calling. Animals don't perform, get rid of them. Don't get married to your animals. They just have to go to town, because they just told you they don't want to live here anymore. So I call it the predator in the herd. Mm-hmm. You got to get rid of those animals. I like to see our landscape get better. I like to see these native warm season grasses appearing on our farms. I've always been told and taught that was a good thing. So always trying to see more of that. It is a struggle with the brush encroachment. We live in a tropical forest here in mid-Missouri. I mean, the brush is always trying to take it over. So it's a battle of the brush against you, but with the livestock helping us, and we have interns. We fight the encroachment of brush. If you don't, it'll take you over. But I enjoy it. If I didn't, I would be retired by now. But I don't ever want to retire. I get up in the morning, I'm eager to face the day and see what it brings. And at the end of the day, when you look back and see what you've done, it's rewarding.
Yeah.
And Alex, I don't think there's any better health than getting up every morning and having something to do that you love. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm serious. I worked in town for 29 years. I saw a lot of people buried. They'd retire at 62 and they were dead at 65. They didn't have anything to do. Their job was their life, and when they quit, they sat in the recliner there and watched TV, and they were dead. And that's a travesty, I think. you need to have something that you enjoy in life and be good at it and be passionate. Make sure you're passionate about it. You will be successful. That's my deal.
Sounds good. Well, thank you very
Yeah.
much for your time.
Yeah,
Greg.
thank you,
I
Alex.
appreciate it.
You bet. It's been a pleasure working with you over the year, and Jan and I just wish you the very best moving forward in your life as well.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate you doing the video with me.
All right, it's been good.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching, and see you all in the next episode. If you haven't subscribed to Greg's channel, I believe it's called Greg Judy Regenerative Rancher.
Yes.
Go check it out. It's pretty cool.